Hello again, welcome back. Timestamps are in the description box. Let's get straight to our stories. Story number 1. Opie writes, I'm 36 female and my husband is male 38. We have been together for 10 years. We have one daughter who's 6. She's everything to me. I found out a year ago that my husband is sleeping with his employee, female 30. How? Her husband, let's call him Jay, male 35, contacted me. He was heartbroken and he thought that I ought to know. He provided me with text messages and dates when they've been in hotels. I recognized my husband's style and I recognized the other woman. I have seen her on multiple occasions when I visited my husband at work. She'd been nothing but kind and pleasant towards me, and she always doted on my daughter. I asked Jay what he wanted to do, and he said that he wasn't sure yet. So I requested that we should meet. He agreed. I told him about my life and that I'm currently not working after the pandemic. I lost my job, and now with this economy, I haven't really had any opportunity to find a job. Instead, I've been studying these past 2 years. If I divorce now, I won't be able to provide for my daughter. That would probably put her in my husband's custody as a primary provider. I asked him if he could wait a few months, and hopefully longer, and to my surprise, he agreed. I thanked him profusely, but he told me that he didn't know what to do either, so he's happy to wait. Also, the other woman has 3 children from a previous relationship, and he was worried that she would refuse him being in their lives once he confronted her because he's not the father. We kept in touch, however. He called me a few times a week, and soon we started to talk about things other than our failed marriages. Afterwards, we started going for walks, coffee, movies, etc. I found myself thinking about him often with a smile on my face. He was the first thing I thought of in the morning and the last thing I thought of before going to bed. For the last 3 to 4 months, we probably mentioned our spouses once or twice. We talk about everything else, and he always makes me laugh. He thinks I'm funny too. 2 weeks ago, we were having a picnic and he just blurted out, quote, I think that I'm in love with you, unquote. When he then explained himself, it just drove the point home that I am also in love with him. He said that at first he wasn't sure why he was feeling like this towards me and explained it away as two jilted people finding comfort in each other, but that he then realized that he wasn't broken anymore, that he even thinks of his wife's infidelity as a blessing because it led him to me. That was exactly how I felt too. I didn't want to say. I told him that I'm terrified that these are false feelings that would go away once we freed ourselves from those who hurt us. He just beamed at me and said he was willing to take the risk just to find out. He kissed my hand because I thought we were still married, and if we did something, then how are we better than our significant others? I don't know what to do now. I find myself daydreaming about him, about introducing him to my daughter, kiss him, wake up next to him every morning. I still have 1 semester left, and then I'm probably going to find a job. I've already had some offers for when I'm finished with my studies. I've thanked Jay so many times for being so patient with me about everything. I appreciate that he's waiting for me to put my life in order before we expose our spouses, who aren't really seeing each other as often as they used to. He told me he's happy to help, and he just wants a real kiss as a thank you when everything is over. My goal now is to secure my job and leave this marriage. Am I pathetic for wanting to give Jay and I a shot and see where it would go? Can 2 broken hearts really find happiness together when their love story started like ours? Let's get some comments with replies from OP and then we get OP's update. Go for it. I would love to see both of their faces when they find out you 2 are together. Why worry about them? They won't worry about their significant others when they were having an affair. OP replies, Is it a good sign that I actually don't care what they do or how they react? I've stopped having revenge ideas in my head months ago. I just want to move on and provide a good life for my daughter because she's my world and she's been the only bright thing in my life since I found out about my husband. Jay is now also a bright spot in my life, but mostly my daughter. Someone else says, "You are absolutely not pathetic, and I think it's wonderful something beautiful came out of a horrible situation. It's definitely complicated though, and won't be easy, so I wish you luck. I hope it works out, Opie." Opie replies, "The thing I dread the most is that people around me start thinking less of me, like I'm being petty or trying to get my revenge, but I'm genuinely in love with Jay and have been for months now. I haven't seen him since he confessed that he also had feelings for me. It felt like if we continued seeing each other, it would be cheating, and I don't want that. But we still talk on the phone and text, trying to keep it to the minimum though. Both feel that we know we have each other, and we could just wait." Here's Opie's update. "Hi again. This is not an update, since nothing new has happened in my life, but I've been feeling so down lately, and my emotions are all over the place. Hopefully, this post will help me sort out my feelings. I'm sorry if you find it confusing, but this is how I'm feeling right now. Confusion. Also, I'm sorry, but it's going to be a long and bumpy ride like my last one. I'm still busy with my studies, especially now so close to the holidays. Thereafter, I'm going to have a break until January 16 and the start of my last semester. I got 2 job offers, one with unpaid internship starting in April. I like this job very much, since I would be working from my laptop most of the days. The other one is more of an in-office job, but with better pay. I don't know how the custody arrangement is going to be, but I feel like a job with more flexible hours is a better fit for me. The reason why I'm writing now is that Jay and I met yesterday. If you remember my last post, we decided not to see each other, at least not as often, since the quote, "I love you" unquote talk. We did good keeping that promise, but we still saw each other once since I wrote here, and we continued texting and calling each other on a daily basis. Yesterday, we met on Jay's initiative. When I got to the park, to our usual meeting spot, Jay was already there. He had flowers, coffee, and cake. I love cake. And he told me that we're going to have a little celebration. He said that today was the day we first met a year ago. Yes, it was. I remember that day very well. It was raining then too, but it was much, much gloomier. I remember how broken and desperate I was. That feeling that my world had ended. We talked a lot about the progress we made and how much stronger we both felt now. He told me he loved me, and it was all I could do not to just F everything and jump into his arms. He is so lovely. When I got home, my husband had already picked up our daughter, and they were just joking around and having fun. I felt so much sadness and pure horror building up inside me. What am I doing? What are we doing? All of us. The guilt that washed over me seeing my daughter's happy face playing around with her food, I couldn't take it. My husband and the other woman haven't texted at all this month, and they haven't met either, or at least as far as Jay and I know. Of course, they work together, so we don't know if the affair has subsided, or that they just have learned to be more cautious. But my husband has been more attentive at home, warmer and more present. He says he loves me all the time and that he misses me. I haven't been intimate with him since I found out about the affair, and even the smallest touch from him irks me, and any beautiful word or compliment from him sets my teeth on edge. I just want to scream, "Liar!" And I feel like I'm cheating on Jay, accepting my husband's affection, and the disdain for myself becomes unbearable. Make this make sense, please. I looked at my husband and tried to remember what I loved about him, but I couldn't. All I could see is his text to her about how great last time was and what he wanted to do to her next. All the things he once said he wanted to do and did to me that made me feel so special. I tried to think harder about the love, but all I saw was Jay's face. I felt immense rage and hatred towards my husband, but also towards myself and Jay. My husband, because he broke us and brought this mess upon us, and myself, because I felt that I wasn't trying hard enough with my heart occupied with someone else. Have I just given up so easily because I love Jay? And my daughter? She is the one who's going to pay the hard price of seeing her home break because daddy is a selfish, greedy cheater and mommy isn't trying hard enough to save her marriage when she is pining for another man. I couldn't control my feelings of anger and resentment and guilt, so I wrote Jay a long text telling him all this and more. He tried to call me, but I couldn't answer him. My heart was swollen in my throat. I told my husband that I wanted to sleep in my daughter's room tonight, something I've been doing a lot since all this started. I cried all night watching her beautiful face, so peaceful and happy. This morning, Jay called me again and we talked for over an hour. He was very subdued, and I heard the fear in his voice. He told me that he respected my wishes in taking a break from each other, but also to remember that even when I was at my weakest, I still knew exactly what I wanted, and that I chose to stay to secure a future for myself and my daughter. Quote, "You're too close now to your goal to just stumble and fall," unquote. He said he loved me and that he never felt like this before and that he will wait. I cried for a good hour afterwards, already missing his voice. I know that my marriage is unsalvageable and that I'm doing the right thing leaving it, even with the nagging feeling of guilt that's simmering beneath the surface, boiling over every now and then, waking me up at night. But I need to do this alone now. I want to look back with no regrets. The guilt will probably never go away entirely, but at least it won't have Jay's face now he's not in the picture anymore. So that's what's been up with my life. I told you that it wasn't an update really, and I'm sorry that it is long and confusing, but that's all I have right now. Well, Opie got a lot of comments telling her to get out of the marriage and get out of it right now. But I do understand why Opie hasn't left yet. She has a plan. She's working towards her goals. She wants to finish her studies and get a job and be able to support herself and her daughter. Opie did reply to a comment saying, "Who says I'm staying?" Opie is not going to stay with her husband. She has already checked out emotionally. She's preparing for her new life, and I think that's very wise. And if she does get with Jay, and it sounds like they do have something special there, it's going to be better to have a solid foundation before they start out together. So OP, continue your studies, finish your studies, get a good job, and take it from there. I think you've got a solid plan. Let's get a couple of comments with replies from OP. I feel for you, OP. You're caught in a horrible situation. I think you're doing great by not making impulsive decisions and taking things one step at a time. If you can, try and seek counseling. It could help with the grief. OP replies, "Thank you. I was starting to think my post is too confusing because people are angry I'm staying, ! With my husband." And someone else says, "Taking a break from Jay may be the right move while you set a plan in motion. Both of you, if you're serious about each other, need to divorce your spouses, then get together." OP replies, "Exactly what I was thinking. If the feelings are genuine, we are not going to forget each other once both are free." I absolutely agree with that, OP. I think it's going to be a while before we hear from OP again, but if we do, I will update. Let's move to story number 2. My, female 32, sister, female 28, and her husband, male 32, moved in with us 2 days ago after they lost their apartment to medical debt for their child, my nephew. My husband and I are more than happy to have them stay for a few weeks until they get this resolved. However, yesterday at 7 p.m., I was in the kitchen when my husband rushed in and said that he saw both my sister and her husband walk out of the bathroom. They'd most likely taken a shower together. My husband said that it irked him, and I agreed that what they did was somewhat inappropriate. He asked me to speak to my sister on the matter, and I did. She got defensive, asking how this is affecting me or my husband in any way. I told her that it made my husband feel uncomfortable and would rather that they just take their showers separately. She started ranting about being overwhelmed by their son's health problems and not having some time alone together as a married couple, and found this activity as a bonding time to spend together. I apologized for how she felt, but requested that she just do as asked. She got mad at me and said that I was being inconsiderate and she didn't understand my husband's hang-up on what she and her husband do. We started arguing and she stormed off to the guest room where my nephew and brother-in-law are. She's not speaking to me, but my husband said I did the right thing by speaking to her and setting this boundary. Am I the a-hole? Am I and my husband overreacting to this? Some infos. 1. My husband did not mention hearing anything, just that he saw them get out of the bathroom, and yes, they were clothed. 2. It's the only bathroom in the house. 3. They spent approximately 10 plus in the shower according to my husband. Edit. I'm going to bring my husband to look at the responses and help answer some questions down here, okay? Just give me a few minutes. Edit. I'm sorry I can't respond to every single comment, but my husband says he's uncomfortable and doesn't want to expand on the situation. Well, I guess the reason OP and her husband didn't want to expand on the situation is because the community decided that, yes, they are the a-holes. First off, I want to say, OP, nobody should lose their home because of medical expenses. It's really a sad reality of life that happens to people. It's just so sad and so wrong. Okay, OP, so you and your husband, you certainly have a right to say what goes and what doesn't go under your roof. However, maybe you want to rethink things a bit. You said that they came out of the bathroom fully clothed, you didn't hear any noises, and your sister told you this is the only time they get to bond. OP, your sister and her husband have been under a lot of stress because of the medical bills, having to leave their home, and not least of all, their son's health. This is the kind of thing that breaks up marriages, the stress of all of this. So while you do have the right to say you're not comfortable with them showering together, I would urge you to think a bit deeper about this, OP. As long as they're just showering and it's 10 minutes, you said it's 10 minutes, they're in there about 10 minutes. No noises, no strange sounds coming out of the bathroom. So OP, this goes a lot deeper than a couple wanting sexy time in the shower together. I really would urge you to reconsider and look at the bigger picture here. Well, that's it for now. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. If you like this, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and please leave a comment. And I'll see you again next time. Take care of yourself.